Welcome to Ask the Dishes, your weekly Disney pop culture podcast. My name is David. I'll be your host this week. I'm joined by my brother, Kingdom to Kingdom founder, and he demands your silence, Jacob.
What's up?
No spoilers, except for this whole episode.
Except for this whole episode. Yep. Whoops.
That's okay. Also here with me is my wife, Disney movie expert, and no longer the biggest box office opening of all time, Erin.
Hey guys.
Dethroned, finally.
I know.
I didn't think it would happen.
Me either. I anticipated incorrectly.
Yeah. We, if you haven't guessed, are going to be talking about the Avengers Infinity War for this very special 20th episode of Ask the Dishes. This is the biggest movie of forever. Surpassed all expectations. Number one opening worldwide. Number one.
Expectations. That was the word I was looking for earlier.
Yeah. So we've been dying to talk about it since we saw it last week, and this is going to be a full review, discussion episode.
Spoiler cast.
We will do a very, very small, quick hit of information up top that is spoiler-free, and then give you a big warning whenever spoilers are happening. So that being said, do we recommend the movie?
Yeah. Go see it.
I'm just kidding.
What?
Yeah, go see the movie. 10 out of 10.
Easy.
10 out of 10.
No question.
Yeah. Recommendation made. There's no question. Even if you're not really a Marvel fan, I've heard people really enjoyed this movie, having not been injected too deeply into the Marvel universe. Cool. It makes them now appreciate it and be ready for Avengers 4.
Now, I would say you definitely need to know some backstory. You should be watching some of the previous films before you jump into this one.
For sure. There's some. It'll enhance your enjoyment, but I think if you have some knowledge and have watched some of the movies, it's still a good movie to stuff your face full of popcorn at. But there is going to be an added level of enjoyment, orders of magnitude higher if you have seen the movies before.
Yeah, I feel like Civil War is a good one to see before this.
Yeah, Civil War, Thor, Ragnarok would be a good one to see. Age of Ultron, maybe.
Iron Man 2.
Doctor
Iron Man
Strange.
3, Captain America. Captain America 2. Captain America 3.
Thor the Dark World. Guardians 1 and 2. Black
Guardians
Panther.
1 and 2. Spider-Man. Black Panther. Ant-Man even.
It's not a huge commitment.
We just listed all of them.
We'll throw Ant-Man in there. But yeah, so I'm dying to talk about this, you guys. So let's put the warning now. Spoilers ahead. All spoilers.
Spoiler time.
If you're still listening to this or watching this and you haven't seen the movie and you get angry about spoilers, well, you deserve to die, like fault. Spider-Man.
Oh, there it is. That's it. That's the spoiler part.
I don't want to go.
I'm scared. That was.
I'm sorry, Mr. Stark.
Ugh.
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
That's definitely what Tom Holland sounds like.
Remember in Spider-Man Homecoming, whenever Tony Stark says to Spider-Man, he's like, hey, if you die, I feel like I'm responsible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guess what happened?
And that's probably our biggest in this movie, wraparound of theme. Because at the beginning, you have Tony and Pepper, and they're talking about, children, and he wants to have a children, and then
a children,
maybe one, maybe two children's, and then the one person that he sees most probably is like a son, floats into ash in his arms.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's heavy, man.
It's pretty crazy stuff.
It's heavy. So I freaking love this movie.
It was so good,
and there's so much to talk about. Either you have a point where you want to start.
The beginning, I don't know, big picture of it all, I guess. Such a good movie. And it's really hard to talk about because it's not just this movie. Whenever I'm thinking back on it, it's the culmination of all the movies because so much of the movie was set up through the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And that is something that I've seen. There's a hilarious New Yorker review that's going around, and a tweet especially that encapsulates the problem that these people are having reviewing this movie, which is they're complaining about how they watch this movie and it doesn't set any of the characters up and they were confused, and it was
Like,
I turned on season 5, episode 4 of Breaking Bad, and they didn't introduce any of the characters.
It's
I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta have some knowledge going into this one, but it makes the movie so much better. Like it's a way better way to do a movie because you don't have to spend all that time at the beginning setting it up and being like,
you're right.
hey, this is what kind of character this is. This is their hopes and dreams. It's like we already got that. Just jump into the action.
We're in this crazy cyclical point right now where it was like movies were the thing and TV was kind of a lesser thing. And then we came into peak TV where we had all these like prestige shows.
Right.
You had your Mad Men's, you had your your Breaking Bads and Sopranos were in there and all that stuff. And it was starting to be a prestige thing to be on TV because you could tell these long form stories. And now we're back to, movies just do it now too.
Yeah,
one
it's
movie
excellent.
company is.
Yeah.
And they're doing it very well.
I would argue that Fast and Furious is also doing this. It's not a shared like with multi. It's not like multi characters in standalone movies, but it is like.
I can't wait for their big crossover.
Right? It's every Fast and Furious movie is an Avengers movie.
That's kind of true.
But they're kind of doing like long
I want
form
like
storytelling.
I just want like a break off into a standalone film where it's just like Dom.
I wouldn't mind that either.
His movie.
Yeah.
I'd go see that.
Letty.
Let's do this.
I would take all. Ask me like around Fast and Furious 4, I would tell you that that's the worst idea ever. But by Fate of the Furious, I am in for individual standalones.
let's go.
For all of them.
The most ridiculous, whatever they can come up
I
with.
want a standalone movie from Fast and Furious 6, and it's just about the people who decided to build the longest runway of all time, never knowing that it was going to be used in the best action sequence ever filmed.
Right. Back to Avengers, though.
Yeah,
what were you
right.
talking about with that?
Just how like I've never seen a movie like this before.
No one has.
It's completely different.
It hasn't existed before. It's serialized storytelling. It's the season finale of a movie of TV episodes. Movies of TV episodes.
Yeah. I
almost.
think that's a perfect way to describe this.
It's almost like, one of my favorite shows ever is Lost, and they did this thing where they would do whole episodes centered around one character. And that was the format of the show. And then, the finales or big episodes, you would kind of coalesce all of those stories into one. And by that time, you had built up this like knowledge base. And Marvel is kind of doing that with. I don't think it's been like really realized until now.
Right, like they've done the crossover before. Of course, we've had Avengers and the second Avengers and Civil War as well. I do think Civil War was kind of close to it. I was thinking that because we rewatched it right before we saw this one.
Yeah.
And there were just like some exchanges where I was like, you couldn't, like that exchange wouldn't fly if this was a standalone movie. It's just because I already know that's how this relationship is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's being utilized to the fullest extent now, and it's awesome and really impressive.
This is one of those movies that it's a little like The Winter Soldier for me, or some other movies I've seen that when it's over, like I really, really liked it. And Jacob asked me, you asked me a couple of days ago if it was the best Marvel movie, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it is. I think about it, and the more I think about it, the more I like about it. Like, there's so much to like about this movie. And the more I think about it, the more I like, oh man, the way they made it and the choices they made, it couldn't have been any more perfect. I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
But yeah, it's a stunning achievement. I want to talk about a few things. I know we all have, there's some big stuff that happened in this movie. It ends on a cliffhanger with 50% of all of the characters on the poster dying. And that is
That's true.
that's
Pretty much exactly.
it is. I think on the poster there are 24, 25, something like that characters, and we see a good 12 of them turn to ash and float away at the end of this movie. And but by the way, I was completely wrong about who it was going to be.
Oh my gosh, so wrong.
Oh, me too. None
So
of my
very wrong.
predictions were correct.
Wait, who did you
None of
predict
them.
again, Jacob?
I definitely thought the originals were going to go. I thought Thor, I thought Captain America, I thought Iron Man, I thought they were all going to go. None of them went. In fact, we're left at the end with just the originals,
Right.
which I think is important for the second
I
one.
think we'll talk about
It's an
that
awesome setup.
definitely later, because that's one of the smartest things I think they did with this script, this two-parter. But Yeah. I don't know. There's just too much to get into. First,
Where are we gonna start?
I want to start by talking about the deaths.
Okay.
I think it's something we're all wondering
some of those.
about. There were several different types of death. There was falling off cliff
A variety of
deaths.
deaths.
There was getting
Yeah.
choked out deaths. There was
this movie was
upset me.
pretty violent compared to the other
Super
movies
for sure,
that we've
for sure.
seen.
Like, we
like
really
a
don't,
bit more gruesome.
We don't see other deaths much in the Marvel universe. Honestly, they're very like,
like
for like,
Loki when he gets choked.
that was gross.
dude.
That was a lot.
Also, it was,
That was a lot to take
it was
in the
just
first
right
5
out
minutes
of the
of the movie.
gate.
Yeah,
Like, it
Yeah,
was just,
I did not predict that.
it's like the first thing that happened.
and I was
Loki
so
immediately dying.
excited to see him interact with other people.
I know, and
it was
and
just
he went out as a good guy.
he did.
I made this prediction.
You did, but you noticed that he still had that wavering thing because he thought maybe about not like go ahead and kill my brother, but then he was like, no, don't kill my brother. Here's
No,
the
I
death.
don't think
See,
he thought
I
about
think
it
he
at
was
all.
stalling. I think he was
He might
stalling
have
for the
been.
whole.
I think
They were very close by the end of Ragnarok.
Yeah, I don't think. I
Mm-hmm.
think all of that was a ruse in order to kill.
I think
But
it was
Thanos.
I'm glad that that's kind of
Yeah.
how he went out, still being very trickstery.
Yeah.
Although my imagined him going out with Thor together would have been cool too.
Nah.
I think it still would have been cool.
Then you wouldn't have some of the, you
You-
wouldn't
you
have
had that
Peter Dinklage helping Thor
I
form
mean, sure,
Stormbreaker.
absolutely.
And you wouldn't have that scene in the middle where it's like Thor's like, yeah, my mom, my dad, my
Dude,
brother, my
that was-
sister,
that, like, broke
my
my heart.
friends.
Actually,
Everybody's gone.
that was one of the
Speaking of
smarter
which-
scenes. It's like when Thor was talking about that stuff and Peter Quill was talking about that stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, you guys both have like super messed up families.
Yeah.
I want to talk about just the beginning of the movie. One thing that I've kind of seen that people have been saying is a plot hole, that we don't see Korg or Valkyrie
not a
or
plot hole.
It's not a
any of the
plot
people
hole.
we left on. But at the beginning, they say, you killed half the ship,
Right.
half the people.
Yeah.
Well, that means half of them escaped, and I think that Valkyrie and Korg are kind of leading.
Yeah,
that.
they're still there.
protecting the rest of them.
Yeah. I don't feel like
so
they
wanted
would
to
just kill
clear
them
that up.
off screen.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Valkyrie and Korg were so popular in the last movie. There's no way that they would do that.
Yeah, they escaped with the other half of.
Right.
Do you think the
Asgard.
planets and peoples that he already killed half of got another half, so now they're like a fourth?
Yes,
Yes.
I think it's half of everything living. So it's a real bummer for them.
Right?
But great. They have so many resources.
It's true. Thanos.
Perfect.
people.
Yeah, he won.
It really helped those guys out.
So who do we think? I mean, obviously, it's a comic book movie, and maybe the most like a comic book crossover event of anything I've ever
it's
seen.
so comic booky.
It's like straight off the page and how those things are structured.
Some of the things literally are straight off the page.
Straight off the page. And in these events, they are known for, big gotcha moments. Characters die, and then they'll come back the next issue, and all of that stuff. So, I don't believe for a second, and anybody out there who I've seen it online who thinks that like Black Panther or Spider-Man
Yes.
are dead for good.
Don't be dumb.
Well,
You're-
here's
you're
the thing.
so
Tom
wrong.
Holland has a contract for more movies.
So-
So,
so does
unless
Chadwick.
they're going
Like,
to be
there's no-
prequels,
Yeah.
or maybe they'll just be, they're not going to be playing their own characters. They're going to be, playing Joe.
Right.
In the future movie,
Joe.
just in the background.
So in the next
That'd
movie
be a twist, huh?
or whatever, they're going to be brought back. There's going to be some kind of time stone shenanigans or reality stone something.
Some gauntlet stuff.
Soul Stone,
Maybe.
I think.
Soul
I think
Stone.
there's going to be some
Yeah.
Soul Stone.
That would be kind of
shenanigans.
interesting because they introduced
sure.
the
I think
Soul
it's gonna
Stone,
be
but
the
we
Power
don't
Stone.
really know what the Soul Stone does.
Here's the thing, Soul Stone. Right. I want to bring this up. Death for a soul for a soul. Right. Gamora's pushed off the thing, and we don't see the Soul Stone before that. I don't think there is a Soul Stone before that.
You think
technically.
that
I think
she's-
Gamora is the Soul Stone.
Oh, like she was transformed
like
into the
because
Soul
he
Stone?
just like. Right, because we don't see Gamora after that
Okay.
either. He just kind of transports into this like water on that planet,
Right, it's really
and
weird.
has the Soul Stone. I think like literally soul for a soul, like Gamora's soul is the Soul Stone.
Okay.
That's
So I
kind of
think that might be-
interesting.
So she
That
could
might-
she could be brought back,
That's
Yeah.
what I
Maybe.
think.
I like that. I like people being gemstones.
but into like a big broken body. But that is kind of what I wanted to get into.
And then,
what deaths are
she
real?
actually won't be brought back, but she will be. She'll actually be a talking stone that Peter Quill's just gonna wear around his
Like a
neck for the next
birthstone?
Guardians movie.
Let's do
like
it.
something you get your mom for Mother's Day when you're 10.
Right.
It's just your own birthstone.
Your own birthstone.
So I think Gamora's dead. unless she
Okay,
happens
that's
to be
fair.
the Soul Stone and comes back that way.
I like that theory.
I think it's a stretch,
I
but
think
I
it's
like
fun.
it.
Is that going to throw off Guardians 3? Because I feel like she's pretty important
Well,
to the chemistry of the group.
James Gunn has said in previous things, like, people ask him about the cast of Guardians 3 and all this stuff, and he says, you are assuming that it's going to be the same team. So I do not put it past them at all. In fact, I want Gamora. I love Gamora. She's a great character.
Yeah, she's awesome.
But I would love for them to have her be gone because Guardians 3 is going to have them deal with that loss.
Right.
And that's always interesting.
Yeah, I think that could be cool.
I mean, I think Loki for sure is like, he's
I
not.
know.
That's it.
I'm
think
very
Goodbye, Loki.
upset.
Loki's gone. Heimdall's gone.
Heimdall's for sure gone. I think everyone that turned to Ash is probably going to come back.
Yes.
They're back.
And I think everybody that didn't turn to Ash, there's a good chance they're going.
That's my exact theory.
I think a few of them will stay around. I think Black Widow's probably surviving the whole thing. Bruce Banner probably is because the Hulk is so popular.
Is he?
Yeah,
that
I think
The Hulk
I
is
think
very
Tony
popular.
and Thor, and I think that's important because if they kill those, staple like original characters off in this film, what were they going to do with the next one,
agree.
right? They need to properly carry off,
Right.
through the next film, and then kind of
Pass
pass
the
on the torch to the next generation.
And that's why I think I think a really smart screenplay that they wrote includes lots of unexpected moments, but not unexpected in a bad way. Like, haha, we got you just for the sake of getting you.
Right.
I think they pulled off something at the end of this movie that I was so excited about because not only did I not see it coming, not only did I not think they were going to do it, but the more I thought about it, the more genius that setup was for the next movie, in that they artfully took out all of the new heroes and leaves our original core set of heroes to be the ones to deal with the fallout and
and
tighten
save
up
the day.
and become
ultimately
the
save
Avengers
the new
again,
heroes.
right? And be the focus of the next movie to save the new
Yeah,
people.
I think it's
And
awesome.
I had no idea, or I hadn't even thought that could be a possibility of what they were going to do.
either.
But like you said, the more I think about it, the ending that I predicted with all the original people dying in this movie would be garbage.
Wouldn't have worked. No, it would have been emotionally impactful, but in a
then-
cheap way. And then what do you
But
do
then
in
the next movie would have been no good.
Right.
Yeah, I could have seen maybe one of the originals
Yeah,
going out.
I thought that Captain America was gonna go.
I thought
honestly
that the end
did.
of this movie would have been Thanos killing Cap or Tony, somebody really big and important to give a driving
Kinda
force and
rally the
stakes
troops.
to everybody else in
Right.
the next movie. But this was so much better.
Yeah, especially when you think about it, that's kind of the whole Coulson angle. We've already used that, so this is kind of a different
This is better.
way to approach it. Really great. And I did think that Steve Rogers was safe, probably at least the halfway point of the movie when I was like, we are not spending enough time with this guy to kill him.
Right.
Like, he's going to have a
you know,
beautiful
You need
send-off.
plenty of screen time.
About halfway through this movie, I was still thinking my original prediction that Tony Stark was going to go, and I was like, man, I'm going to miss Robert Downey Jr. a lot.
Yeah.
He's so great in this role.
And then they stabbed him.
I was so upset when that
stabbed
happened. I
him
was
with
like,
his own armor.
no.
I was like, oh man, it's happening, and then it didn't.
It didn't. Fake
Doctor
out.
Strange. Do we want to talk about Doctor Strange?
We have to
I
talk
kinda
about
do.
Doctor
He's
Strange.
amazing.
He's might be the most important character, and maybe not. I don't know. He's a very important character to the story. Just those two lines that he said, like "this is the only way," and then what was the other one that I'm blanking on right now?
Do you mean him just talking about how he saw all the different...
Oh, well,
he saw
yeah, he
14
saw like
million possibilities.
14 million possibilities.
Only one.
Oh, we're into the end game.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like, we're in the end game now, and then this is the only way. Those are the two lines, like, super important. That's also another thing online. People have been like, well, why did he give up the stone? He said at the beginning he wasn't going to
don't
give
be
up.
dumb.
Well, that's because like he said, it's the only way. He saw all 14 million outcomes, and in the one that they succeeded, it had to have been with him giving up the stone and Tony living specifically.
Right. And that's what it's as simple as that. He saw, if you see only one outcome of something, you just have to make sure everything that happens into that happens. And he had to have known, hey, we're going to fight Thanos. We're going to get close. It's not going to turn out so good. But in the end of all that, maybe he didn't know those specifics.
Right.
Maybe the ending he saw had Tony alive and had Thanos with
all the
6
stones anyway.
stones. Like,
right. Maybe he saw that and he was like, well, I know Tony has to live, so I got to do
So he's got to
this.
make that bargain. I honestly, growing up, Doctor Strange was one of my favorite characters. And when I really got into comics, Doctor Strange was one of my favorites. And I loved the Doctor Strange movie. But this iteration of Doctor Strange was so much closer and so much better a realization of that comic book Doctor Strange. His role for me always was never the best in his own books, but when he was in the New Avengers and on like a team, because the way he interacts with everybody else is so fantastic.
I love it.
And we got to see that in spades in this movie with him interacting with Spider-Man and the Guardians and Iron Man was hilarious.
Yeah.
I loved their interaction so much.
This movie was also real fun, along with being very, dark and
Easily
gruesome.
the darkest.
The comedy was fantastic.
It was on point.
They did a great job at making everyone, like all the characters, feel true to their character and true even to their movie, like especially the Guardians of the Galaxy bits.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. When you just saw that title
like
card, space.
Yes.
Right, that was fantastic.
You knew immediately. It was great.
Yeah, so that's something they did a fantastic job with, was balancing, and they always do. They always have. But especially since this movie was maybe a bit darker than some of the rest of the Marvel movies, it was especially well done.
Yeah.
So talking about being dark, I've seen some criticism, and this is I see this criticism so much, and I want to get it out of the way right now. Okay. I want to have like a moment, and maybe you guys can jump into. People always talk about, oh, these have no stakes because I know that this character's going to live, or I know that this person has a contract, blah, blah, blah. And people talk about the end of this movie, hey, there was no stakes. I didn't care that everybody died because I know they're just going to come back. There's no permanence.
Sure.
But that's not how I watch movies. I don't, there are aspects of something where I am sad if a character is gone that I like, and I see them go, and that is, like if Captain America died in this, and I felt like it was permanent, then I would be sad because I would miss having him around in the movies. Mm-hmm. But when I watch movies, it is escape into that world, into that story, into that timeline. And when I'm watching it, and Bucky disappears, and Spider-Man disappears, and all of them, the other characters in the scene don't know that they're going to be able to bring them back.
They have a contract.
To them, it is this...
Tony Stark doesn't know that Tom Holland has a contract to do more Spider-Man movies.
And to all of them, this moment is so huge and impactful and crushing because they lost, and not only did all of their friends die, they feel like they're responsible. Half the universe is gone, and that's the emotional stakes that I have. Now it is up to them to carry that weight of loss forward and do something about it. And I know they will do it. I didn't think for a second when I was reading a Harry Potter book that Harry was going to lose in the end.
Right. That's true.
Right. I don't think for a second when I'm watching like a rom-com, like your standard one, that they're not going to get together or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter that I know what's going to happen. It matters how they tell the story and what the impact of the characters are feeling at the time.
And they did such a great job with this one, like especially Tony Stark, because like on Earth in Wakanda, there's at least a group of them that are like, well, crap, all our friends are gone.
He's just there with this weird robot lady.
Right, exactly.
The meanest robot lady.
Tony Stark is alone on an alien planet with no spaceship to get back, and he's just with some alien robot lady that he just met that just crashed in on a spaceship.
And honestly, Tony's arc culminating in this movie with him feeling such, he had the PTSD arc in Iron Man 3 after the Avengers. They continue that into Civil War, where he's got this massive guilt about, I stopped making weapons, but am I still like a failure? Am I still causing all this destruction? And then to have him like carry those demons forward here, realizing that Thanos is like the core of his issues, being beaten by him, and then watching everybody there, including his surrogate son, fall victim to his failure, is going to make for an excellent, what I'm assuming is a final story arc for Tony Stark in the next movie.
And I think it's such an interesting superhero story arc that I can't think of ever seeing before. Just the guilt that carries through with all of this, and the emotional impact that he can bring whenever he loses is so unique and has been present through his entire character. So yeah, I'm so psyched to see that play out. That it made, I think, a lot of the stuff that I saw online mentioned the specific moment with Spider-Man's death, and
that seems to be like
it's like the takeaway,
the thing to talk about,
like,
is Tom Holland's performance,
the performance,
that scene itself.
Yeah, that scene was so good.
Dang.
It was amazing. You've seen it twice now, Jacob?
I have, yeah.
Okay. We've only seen it the once. We're going to see it in IMAX, I think, this weekend.
Oh, it's great in IMAX.
Very excited to see it in IMAX. But
yeah.
We had a relatively tame theater, I think.
We did.
I've seen some reports online of audience reactions and stuff. But
I had a pretty good theater.
Nice.
We
pretty live theater.
Where did you see it?
I saw it opening night at, that Thursday, I guess before the opening night, in the IMAX 3D, the biggest theater in Lubbock.
I think so. Normally the that's very nice. Good for Lubbock. Normally the Alamo Drafthouse is a huge benefit because people don't talk or be annoying or be on their phones or anything, or they'll get kicked out, which is what makes the best theater. Mm-hmm. But that means that audience reactions for some of these bigger movies are a little muted. Yeah. So I was wondering what kind of audience reactions that you had, because I've seen some fun stuff online about what moments got the big cheers and the pops in the crowd.
Yeah, so in the IMAX, there were a ton of audience reactions, which I actually really thought contributed to that
it's fun.
Opening night feel.
Yeah, that's the one time I don't mind noise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cheer,
there was actually
laugh, and all that stuff.
two moments of full audience applause. And that was whenever Captain America first shows up, and you get that first Avengers theme,
it
like
plays
the full
so
theme playing.
loud.
Yeah. That's a fantastic moment.
It is.
But there was a full applause for several seconds. It lasted quite a while. And then the second time was whenever Thor shows up with Stormbreaker and does he's flying through the sky and the sky goes dark, and with the lightning.
Bruce Banner, does he say yo, you're screwed now?
Yeah.
It's so great. So those were the two main ones I've seen online.
Those are the two main.
Thor mainly is the one that I hear people having an audience pop to. The one time the entire movie that there was applause or anything but laughter, anything but, obviously people laughed, but there was cheering and clapping and everything, was the Captain America moment.
Yeah, we had a Captain America audience.
They were there for it.
Yeah, our audience was very happy to see Captain America, even though everybody knew that he was going to be there.
Gonna be there.
It's such a great reveal, too. And
it was even the scene that was in the trailer, so you knew. So, as soon as they pan over to the shadow, it's like everybody was wait, okay, yeah, here we go.
I saw it. I'm getting my hands ready.
Out. I'm coming. Come on, Cap.
Well, it also came at such a good time because, Vision and Scarlet Witch were, against the ropes. Yeah. And so it was just such a great, with the train passing by, it was a great...
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic, the way they revealed.
I loved it.
There were a lot of gasps as well.
Yeah.
Anytime anyone got, hurt or remotely close to maybe dying, it was like,
I think we had
and even whenever,
when
Thanos would, whenever he almost died about 80 times and it turns out to all be fake.
Yeah.
The audience, every time he was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
We haven't really talked about it much, but that's a good time to bring it up. Josh Brolin as Thanos, and the whole, I think it was Wedded Digital who did this.
Oh, really?
This is some of the best digital character work I've seen.
I didn't even think about it being digital.
No, me neither. I was so engrossed.
That's what's great. And whenever they showed close-ups and he's walking through, there's trees and stuff, all the shadows just work perfectly, and even so many details.
Yeah, there was a moment where he was standing there, and you could see all the hairs on his bicep. Kind of peeking through the light, and I was kind of mesmerized by how good this character looked.
Biceps.
By his biceps. Well,
they were so real.
Those puffy, great biceps. They were really.
In fact, there were times whenever I was like, there were no prosthetics. He didn't go into actual prosthetics for any of this, right? I don't think so.
Specifically, the scene, one of the scenes that I'm thinking about is there's the amazing moment where they're at on the planet with the Soul Stone.
Oh, I know where you're going.
they find out what it takes to get the soul stone, which is a soul for a soul. You have to kill the thing you love. And Gamora's like laughing and saying, you lost.
Yeah.
You big stupid idiot.
That is one of the best character development moments for Thanos in the film as well.
And he turns around and he's got tears coming down his face.
It's the realest tears.
It is. I'm nominating this scene for an Oscar. They both get nominated for an Oscar. I'm dead serious. The performances by both of them,
they're great.
Where it's not only Thanos realizing what he has to do and making the decision to do it and being so pained about it, but then Gamora realizing that she is wrong and he actually does love her.
Right.
And she realizes that mid-dialogue.
Yeah, because she like turns around
Right.
in mid-dialogue to use the blade.
She even is like, oh yeah, tears, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, you're crying now? What? And then she realizes what's going on and that he's actually going to do it. And then my favorite, this is another part of the Russo, or they didn't write this, but McFeely and somebody else who wrote this movie. One of the genius things about that scene is we, the audience, know, as a point of characterization for Thanos, that he loved Gamora the most out of anything in the universe. Because if he didn't, he doesn't get the Soul Stone.
Right.
It doesn't work. So not only is it wonderful for Thanos, it's wonderful for Gamora in terms of like performance, but it's really, really great building for the audience because you know that he is not BSing. He's
and
real.
it's such an interesting,
Right.
yeah, it really paints the character
It does.
and his motives a lot stronger than, just like, well, yeah, he's saying it's for the greater good, but he doesn't really believe it. I mean, this is cards on the table.
No, he does.
He does.
Yeah.
Believe it. His weird scrotum face. It just like I don't know. I'm serious. He's called that in the movie.
Yes.
By Star-Lord, and he is a big stupid purple alien who's like twice as tall as a normal guy. He's huge. It does not seem like this is a character that you're supposed to should take seriously.
But
they
you
knocked
do.
it out of the park. This might be their best villain.
he's great.
Fantastic villain. Speaking of villains, Red Skull was there
Yeah.
on the planet,
That was
which
got a
I think was
reaction.
great.
That did get a
'cause in the
reaction.
comics, I'm not a huge follower of the comics, but isn't a main motivation for Thanos like to impress Death
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
comics?
so he is in love with Death, and he is trying to court
Woo
Death.
her.
He's trying to impress
Yeah.
her, whatever.
With killing.
And that is
So
one
I
of
guess-
the things that his motivations is.
Right. I'm glad that they didn't do that. I think the way their motivation in this one of him like genuinely trying to improve the universe
It's cool.
or at
Really
least he thinks so, was way better than that. And I'm glad that they, I guess, kind of put Red Skull in the place of Death.
Yeah, I thought that was so
I guess to
interesting.
kind of take over that role.
Because the weird ghost thing showed up that ended up being Red Skull, and I thought, oh, that's Death. And then it was talking, and I was like, oh, no, that's not Death. That doesn't sound right. That's not something they would say. And then they kept the way they were filming
played
it,
it,
and
yeah.
hopefully you guys know what I'm talking about, and it's not too abstract a concept. But you know how when you're watching something, and it's like how you can tell when they're shooting somebody in a car that there's about to be a car wreck.
Yep.
Because they shoot it in a certain way, and they were shooting this scene like I was supposed to be waiting for a reveal of who this character was. Like they're stepping out of the shadows, and I was thinking like, why are they filming it like this? This is so weird. Who could this possibly be that I would care about? And then Red Skull popped out, and I like almost screamed, like ah!
I know. That was another audience gasp
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
that I definitely didn't expect. In fact, I had forgotten that we didn't see him die, or
I think about Red Skull
get-
maybe once a week.
Red Skull watch.
always
What's
it's
Red
always
Skull-
on your mind.
What's Red Skull up to?
What's he
What's
doing?
his weird hollow nose
Yeah.
doing?
He's just floating and waiting.
It is
He's
kind of a
just
bummer
floating
that
around, cursed.
Hugo Weaving didn't come back to do the part. But
Right, but understandable.
I don't even know. I mean, we had Benicio del Toro showed up for 30 seconds
But that's
and was
'cause
an illusion.
he loves it. I
Oh,
think he
he
just adores being the collector.
Idris Elba came in for 30 minutes to shoot himself dying.
That's true, but you can't really do a fake him. Like you can
No,
fake
yeah.
the Red Skull
I agree. I'm just saying.
for less money.
Just, it's the biggest movie of all time. He should have come back to say farewell to his
I hope that
contribution.
he was invited. Like, it would have been so awkward to be like,
Yeah.
man.
They probably pinged his
is that my
agent.
character?
And his,
Did they?
Yeah, they came back with the too high a quote. I'll bet that's what happened. That stuff happens all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're about to get on the Thanos train some more. Before, can we take a side step to Gamora some more? Because she was fantastic in this film. Her story arc was awesome.
She was kind of the heart of it. The heart and soul.
Snap. But no, she does such a good job. Her character and of course Zoe's performance is strikes a good balance between being humorous at times and carrying really the most dramatic weight of the Guardians in a lot of ways.
And,
and in
not
this
just
film,
the Guardians, almost everybody else in the whole movie.
This one, it was like everybody.
Yeah.
And that scene where he has the Reality Stone and she thinks that she's killed him and she just like is upset by it and like actually mourns him, just makes the entire, just all of it so much more interesting. And it was so cool that they found time to put that into the movie in such an effective way.
Right.
Because I feel like that could easily be something that hits the cutting room floor. But it was really great.
I think that's the name of the game in this movie is like super smart, effective storytelling.
Just a perfect little like...
Yeah. They used every part of the buffalo in this. And I'm serious.
Yeah.
Not a second was wasted. Every single... Like, I was talking before... without you guys, you didn't hear it. This is in my real life.
Just to yourself.
Yeah, just to myself. About how almost always in a big movie like this, and even in small movies, you have your side characters that go off and they have to figure out something to do with them in the plot for a while. You know, and it's not always leading up to the main plot, or it's like they just have nothing to do, so they kind of write something for them to do. And literally nobody in this whole giant 20-something superhero cast had a nothing plot. Everybody was doing something important and interesting, and right around the time you thought in the movie, oh yeah, I haven't seen Captain America in a while. It's like at that exact moment they cut to Captain America and that crew.
They probably had like one guy like watch an early cut of the film and like monitored their brainwaves and like, oh, he's thinking about Captain America. We got to cut now.
But it was literally, I would think like, oh, I haven't seen Peter Quill in a while, and it would cut to the scene on Titan where they fight Spider-Man and Iron Man and Doctor Strange.
Great scene.
Now I will say no. They didn't have a character doing nothing for the plot. It was all leading to the greater plot, like one plot line, the A story. But they did very skillfully just not go to characters as much, like Shuri, for instance, she did on screen what she had to do, but they didn't invent soming else for her to do to have her more screen time.
And that's one of the things.
And they did that with a lot of characters.
That made this feel like a true comic book crossover event. It's because when they write those crossover events, they have side issues and they have lead up issues that are all individual character stories, very like the movies did. So when the actual event happens, the story is about the event. The story is not about the individual characters. So they can have just one panel or one scene or one page of Spider-Man doing a thing, and that is what Spider-Man is doing during this time, and you are smart enough to understand that is just his contribution, that is what he's doing in the story, and at other times, other people are doing their thing. So you can cut to, Edinburgh and see what's going on with Vision and Wanda, and then Cap and them show up, and then and it comes down to even individual scenes where you can be watching Thanos there in the middle of the screen having a fight with Star-Lord and Iron Man and Doctor Strange and all them, and you can see a web come in and hit him in the face and know that Spider-Man's there doing his thing. You don't need to cut to the moment where Spider's like, oh, I'm gonna web Thanos in the face and do the thing, and it's a big moment. You can just have everybody doing their thing and have it all work because the audience is smart enough and has had 18 movies before this to understand all the characters.
Fantastic. And that scene was like, I've been thinking back on it. I just think it's the best action scene in the film
in the Marvel.
and in the maybe in the Marvel.
It's so smart.
In the Marvel Cinematic
It's so
Universe, I
good and
think.
it's so cool to watch. Oh, I think that there was an audience reaction to Spidey's suit.
Oh, yeah.
We got that too. We got a few like, oh,
Whenever
the Iron
whenever he
Spider.
yeah,
shoots out the
fantastic.
That was-
it looked so
legs.
good.
That was the only aspect of the whole movie that I was spoiled on.
Oh, that's right.
I knew that the Iron Spider full
Was
costume
it-
was in the movie.
It was a
Was it from the
I
toy
saw
that
the toy.
incorporated it?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I saw
Yeah.
the toy. But, I was ecstatic because I love the Iron
didn't know
Spider
that was coming.
I didn't either. It was exciting.
because it was,
And even
what was I going to say?
like in the trailer.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
All right, even in the trailer, like they had that scene where he's like, going around saving everybody with his webs.
Yep.
And in the movie, he had the legs, crawling around, but in the trailer, they artfully did not include them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was several scenes in the trailer that they altered. Like pretty much anytime you saw Thanos, they changed how many Infinity Stones he had
Right.
collected, so you would never.
There
know.
was one scene in the forest whenever they're all, in Wakanda, and they're all running, and instead of the Hulkbuster, they
Right.
put actual
Yeah,
Hulk
the
in
Hulk.
there.
That's right.
There were scenes with Thor where they put an eye patch back on him, and also took away his axe.
Right.
I guess.
They've gotten so good at doing these trailers.
Bravo.
And I actually I don't like watching trailers, but for this one I had seen most of them. I didn't see most of the TV spots.
Yeah.
Pretty much, I saw the major trailers though, and even having seen those trailers, they masked everything.
Right.
I had no idea they went to Titan. When the first thing that happens is Spider-Man and Iron Man fly into space, I was like, well, I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm out. I don't
Right.
know. I can't predict this
They
anymore.
did a great job with the trailers. I trust their trailers.
Also, we got a hot SpongeBob reference.
We
Little
did get a
Squidward.
hot
yeah,
SpongeBob
that was great.
I like that. That was another one
Yeah.
of the examples of excellent humor.
That was also the first time I laughed, I think, after Loki's death. There were a lot of jokes, and I was like, I cannot laugh now.
Right.
Do not make
I'm
me
still
laugh.
mourning.
Yeah. I had a rough time there for a while. That's a hard blow right out of the gate. But it did a
That
good
was.
job
And
setting
that
up the
was in-
stakes. They're like, yeah, he's
They
dead.
had
What
to.
now?
Like,
Look out.
we have big stakes.
So much happens in that first scene. He kills Loki. He kills Heimdall, and they get the Hulk fight out of the way.
Yeah.
Also,
I loved that.
That scene's scared because, Thanos is, overpowering the Hulk, and that scares the Hulk so much that
No.
he's like, no, I don't want to come out anymore. This is no. I've decided that this is no good.
That was
This is
such a fun way. And was I disappointed that I didn't get to see the Hulk so much in this movie? Absolutely. I love the Hulk.
Sure.
But we have to remember there's a whole new movie coming out in a year.
He's definitely gonna be
as waiting not only the whole length of this movie, but the time in between, and then whatever length of time they wait during that movie to do the Hulk reveal, it's going to be big.
It's gonna
Whatever
be
they're
great.
doing, it's going to be for something big.
And in the meantime, we
they
have
definitely
Bruce.
set something up.
Yeah, and
And
Bruce is
I
great.
love Bruce. I especially love
Mark Ruffalo.
I've been in space 2 years, Bruce.
Yeah.
He's changed a little bit, and he's a little bit.
He's wacky.
Yeah.
He got a little.
I like him.
Yeah.
I'm freaking out. I'm healing plan. I'm freaking out. Hulk like big fire. You like small fire.
It's great. It's good stuff. I'm excited to have him. Yeah.
Yeah. Beginning to end, I wish that there had been maybe a little more Spider-Man.
Fair.
But I understand why they didn't include whatever they couldn't include. Pretty much everybody else. Captain America, obviously, I would have liked to have gotten more screen time. But again, that one I'm more okay with because I know for sure that the next movie.
one is his movie.
Well, I don't know if it's his movie, but
His
it's
movie, 'cause
It's
he's dying.
their movie. It's the original Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Do we have any thoughts on what the next movie is going to be called?
Avengers Endgame.
That's what I've seen thrown around a lot.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't like it.
So here's
supposed to be
a thing that I've seen a lot, that people are like, oh, they're not revealing the next title because it's going to be a spoiler for this one. Like, what 2-word phrase is going to be that much of a spoiler?
So it's Avengers, everybody died.
Everybody died.
Avengers, everybody died in that last one.
Avengers, I feel funny, I don't want to go, I'm sorry, Tony. I'm sorry, Mr. Stark.
Avengers, Thanos got all the Infinity Stones and actually did the thing in the last movie.
Half the universe is dead.
I mean,
Half the universe is dead.
I can see, they said it was an interview or something where they said, we're not saying the name of the movie because it's a bit of a spoiler. And I think that was a bit misworded and taken very seriously. They'd since walked it back a bit and said, well, it's not like a spoiler, but we're also not going to tell you because it might lead you on to give something away.
Right. I don't think it was meant to be like a really direct spoiler, like Thanos won or Gamora gets thrown off a cliff.
Right. I think anything that they could have like Endgame or Disassembled or something like that leads you to think that this movie doesn't end great. And I think there was such a huge amount of the audience that was not expecting this movie to end on a literal cliffhanger. That I think they're holding it back. I would not be surprised if in the next month or so we get the title.
Right. I think we will.
Yeah.
They're just waiting for a little bit for, I think, first viewings. I do like the idea that the creators have been so precious about the idea of spoilers.
Yeah.
Like, hey, don't do it. It's been really cool.
Thanos demands your silence.
Also, I have been loving watching every single clip, specifically with Tom Holland and Mark Ruffalo. Any interview with them and other cast members, and how protective the other cast members have to be.
It's so funny.
Leaking
Everybody's
things.
just on edge.
Especially the Tom Holland and Benedict Cumberbatch interviews.
I've watched so many of those.
He's always like, Tom Holland's always trying to give something away, and
there's one interview where
saves the day.
Somebody asks if Captain Marvel makes an appearance in this movie, and Tom kind of takes a breath, and Benedict Cumberbatch just starts humming Christmas songs like really loud. It's just really good.
Yeah, it's so good. Speaking of Ant-Man and Captain Marvel, we know that they're going to take place before this whole thing happens. Captain Marvel in the 90s, and Ant-Man probably in between Civil War and this.
Right, that's what I'm assuming.
But do you think like either at the end of Ant-Man or maybe the post-credit scene will line up with?
I was about to say, I think
everybody disappearing.
I think Ant-Man ends with the snap.
Who goes?
You think?
I think
that's
either
maybe
the end
like
or the post-credits.
Ant-Man ends with my daughter's disintegrating.
I think so.
Yes.
Because
I hope so.
I have no doubt
Not that I hope his daughter's dust.
Jeez, Erin.
Sorry.
That's really dark. I know this movie was what are you, part of the DC universe?
You
Deadpool
can't steal
2 trailer?
Deadpool's joke. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I think that there's no doubt that Ant-Man and maybe the Wasp, unless she disappears, which I'm not counting out at all, and Hawkeye are all going to be in Infinity War 2, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
They had to kind of sit him out for this one.
Like, hey, we don't have anything for y'all to do.
Too many characters.
Right.
But that'd be fine. They'd already pre-established that Hawkeye was kind of like, I really kind of want to not do this anymore.
One last job and I'm out.
Yeah.
And it worked out fine because it's both like, oh, they have children. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
So...
speaking of which, we'll talk about this at some point. Did you guys see the Ant-Man trailer today?
Yeah.
Movie looks real fun.
I loved it.
It does. Oh my gosh, the full trailer gets me way more excited than the teaser.
I was
did.
very excited after this trailer.
They
did a lot of like, oh wow, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. That's funny. Oh,
yeah.
Every scene, I was like,
every scene was great. Yeah. So I think they'll definitely end up, especially with the end credit scene from this Infinity War. We know we're gonna get something in Captain Marvel at least set up, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated to see that movie and see what that character is like.
I'm super excited.
Apparently, Nick Fury thinks that she is some kind of
some Hail Mary, man.
I heard somebody say that they've planned on, or at least Captain Marvel for the Marvel Cinematic Universe purposes is going to be pretty much the most powerful Avenger.
I mean, in the comic book, she is on the level of
God tier.
Thor or bigger, you know. So and he's the strongest Avenger.
Right. He took the power of a sun of a
He
star.
did. That was an exciting moment.
Yeah.
But movie was great. That scene was amazing. Every scene was amazing. I don't know what to say else.
It was all great.
The whole
I
whole
keep,
thing
you
was
know,
awesome.
I'm thinking like what I would change, and I was like, if I were to change anything, it would like ruin everything
Yeah.
because it's cut
It's
down to the
clockwork.
second.
It's-
Just
Yeah.
so great.
It's perfect. So yeah, I think with that, we're gonna wrap up here. That's our spoiler review and discussion, and I think we'll go around the table and say real quick, out of 10, what do you give it? We talked about it at the beginning. I'm giving it, for real though, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. Not saying it's perfect, but it's a masterpiece. It's amazing.
No, I think it's an absolute must-see for everyone because it's an incredible undertaking and just so well executed.
Yep.
I am also giving it a 10 out of 10.
And big surprise with me, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
All right. So that's your official rating from the Acidicious crew, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Wouldn't change a thing.
I honestly wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
I've thought about it. I was like, can I fix this?
It's a fantastic movie.
Or can I improve it? And I'm
no,
like, no.
And I have a
Anything I
feeling
can fix? No.
I could be talking about this for 3 more hours, but we're going to be talking about this for the next year, for the next decade.
It's true.
I have a feeling this is going to be a
Yeah.
big event movie that's going
Get
to
out
be
your
remembered.
string and thumbtacks.
Yeah, for a long time. So,
Right.
we'll have that going. That is all the time that we have for Acidicious this week. Give us your feedback and thoughts on everything we discussed this week at kingdomtokingdompod@gmail.com.
And also, if you want to follow us on social media, you can. It's at K2K Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Succinct.
All right,
They're
guys.
all the same.
Thanks for joining us. Join us next week for another episode of Ask the Dishes.
And with that, thank you so much for watching the Ask the Dishes spoiler-filled talk about Avengers Infinity War. I hope you enjoyed the video, and leave a comment down below with what you thought about the movie, your favorite scenes. Don't worry, this is a spoiler zone, so you can say whatever you want, and if you've made it through this video thus far, you should know that you're going to get some spoilers. So feel free to comment down below with what you thought about the movie, full of spoilers. I know I'd like to know, and leave your rating of what you think the movie was down below as well. And if you enjoyed this discussion, let us know with a like down below and share the video. Also, if you're not already, I would encourage you to subscribe because there's more great stuff like this coming out every single week on the Kingdom to Kingdom channel. With that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.